71 years ago today, the world was a very different place. You could buy a brand new home for $19,000, a new car for $1,900, a gallon of gas for 29 cents, and a dozen eggs for 59 cents. 71 years ago, Nikita Khrushchev ran the Soviet Union in the midst of the Cold War. Sir Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and Dwight D. Eisenhower was the President of the United States. 71 years ago, the Boeing 747 was the first successful commercial airliner revealed to the world. The words, "Under God," were added to the United States Pledge of Allegiance, and the population of Sacramento was 277,000. But something else happened 71 years ago. A new church in a one-room facility on Taylor Road was established in Loomis, California on December 5, 1954. Shortly afterwards, First Baptist Church purchased its first building on 3300 Taylor Road under the leadership of Brother Glenn Murphy. The church continued to serve the Lord through the decades that followed, with several more men pastoring the church, and in 2014, Pastor Stephen Becker began his service as pastor of First Baptist Church of Loomis.
I think that first year was very special with Pastor Richard Johnson. He was the one who passed it over to us. He stepped in and filled the role of being the pastor at that time. All those our first Easter was special. We prayed for 50 people, and on that first Easter we had 49. And then Mrs. Nolan's dad came in and made it 50 for that potluck afterwards.
When my husband and I walked through the doors, Larry Shoemaker and Jim Moran met us at the door with big smiles, and it was a very, very small congregation. Everybody was loving and welcoming, and we looked at each other and said, "We're home."
When we came to explore the position of the church, we drove in, and there was I believe it was a Saturday, and I noticed in the backyard there was a young man mowing the backyard, and I thought, well, they have a young child mowing the backyard. Well, it turned out to be Pastor Becker. I was really surprised just how young he was.
Yes.
And he took on this position, and impressed with him from day one.
35 years ago, on September 9th, 1990, Brother Les and Pastor Meredith Sears established a new church named Regency Baptist Church in Carmichael, California. At the time, Regency Baptist Church was located on Walnut Avenue before a property was purchased on Hazel Avenue in May of 1996. Pastor Stephen became the pastor with the support of his wife, Jeannie Nichols, in that very same year in August, and continued to serve the people of the church. He witnessed much growth in the ministry, such as the start and growth of the bus ministry, Regency Baptist Academy, Vacation Bible School, and the basketball and volleyball tournament, Best of the West, which annually held a couple hundred people from other churches around the state. In 2019, Pastor Stephen Nichols retired and passed the baton to Pastor Stephen Becker of First Baptist Church. And on April 21st of that year, Regency and First Baptist Church merged together in Loomis, California under Pastor Stephen Becker and his wife, Alicia Becker.
When Pastor Nichols came to me and asked me if I would take his place, and then he said, just something to pray about if we maybe should merge as churches, of course, want the Lord's will. I honestly didn't even expect it. I remember praying in my garage one morning and was praying for Regency because I knew that was on the horizon, that they would need a new pastor eventually. And God put it on my heart to possibly pastor one day, but I never wanted it before that point, never desired to step in after Pastor Nichols. God put that in my heart, but I said, Lord, I'm not gonna say anything to anybody about it. And I said, if this is your will, he's gonna have to come to me.
But when I approached him that day, tears filled his eyes as he told me, I don't have to pray about it anymore, because I know it's God's will.
From the beginning in our first church at Regency Baptist Church, it was like a family. My children grew up in Regency. They were saved at Regency. That was all we knew, and that's all they knew.
To be honest, I was scared to death. We didn't know where the church was going to be. We didn't know what was going to happen with the old property, how hard it was going to be to sell. I remember going into that just thinking, if we know it's the Lord's will, He'll take care of all these details.
For me, it was a bittersweet. Finally realized that our Pastor Nichols, he was stepping down, and we were losing a great man of God. We were also getting new life in another great man of God, and Pastor Becker.
We didn't understand it at the time why God used my husband's pulpit for so many different men to be up there preaching, and he wasn't able to, but God was preparing some men for the ministry. One of them is my brother-in-law. During those times, it wasn't easy that he was seeing my husband not being able to preach, but God had other plans, and God did use the pulpit
when Regency came over, they were all sweet, loving, friendly.
Me going to churches and pastors saying, so, how'd that merge go, you know? And like they wanted to hear some terrible story, and I would say, oh, it's just great, praise the Lord, this is wonderful.
With the merging of the two churches, the small auditorium in the 3300 Taylor Road property could not contain the ever-growing church. And so after months of preparation and raising money, Regency Baptist Church and its family raised the necessary funds to start construction on the expansion of the auditorium.
Chinese health authorities are still working to identify the virus behind a pneumonia outbreak in the central city of Wuhan.
At least 59 people are believed to have been sickened by the new virus.
And we have it under control. It's going to be just fine.
One person with coronavirus has died.
The city at the center of the outbreak in China and 2 others going on lockdown.
565 people are dead.
Tonight, the first containment zone here in America.
With several weeks of focused action, we can turn the corner and turn it quickly.
Stay at home.
Stay home, stay safe.
Quite simply, stay at home.
Half a decade ago in 2020, many churches in America were set back with protocols for meeting together as a church family due to the coronavirus pandemic. Regardless of the restrictions imposed, God continued to work in Regency Baptist Church and allowed it to continue construction of the new auditorium. The church continued to have services online and would eventually begin to meet through drive-in services on Sundays.
Closing down was, I would say, one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. Being the pastor, it felt very odd to tell people, not that you're not welcome to come to church, but we asked that you respectfully would not come. We're not opening up the doors for people. That was very strange. I mean, that's something nobody had anticipated. I never took a class in college about what do you do when a worldwide pandemic comes. There was long seasons and prayers seeking the Lord for wisdom and help, counsel, and just what's going on, what is this? There were a lot of unknowns at that time. And my heart broke knowing just there were people who longed for the fellowship, preaching, the encouragement, the singing.
It didn't stop them from serving God and spreading the gospel. And then when they brought us inside, they separated us by a number of seats in between. They did a great job. I was really proud, and I've mentioned this to a lot of people who don't attend the church. Very proud of how they handled that situation.
May 28th for our first, or May 30th maybe it was, for our first service that we had in person. Probably one of the most memorable services that I'll ever remember, especially singing together. It was just such a sweet sound to hear God's people singing.
You know, I've had the privilege of traveling around the country and talking to pastors and people in churches and stuff, and it's amazing. While the devil tried to really cause a pain and a hurt, in reality, a lot of people woke up and thought, I really miss my church, and I really need my church.
Then, on September 27, 2020, Regency Baptist Church held a building dedication service, during which many saw the beautiful auditorium for the very first time.
The building project was a huge mess and a lot of fun. We started, of course, before the pandemic started, not knowing that we'd be shut down, and that turned into be a little bit of a silver lining because we didn't have to clean up every week for what we were doing.
I mean, it was so God's timing because that's when COVID hit. And that's when our church, our auditorium was all tore up, dug up. God just knew that we needed that time to, maybe close for a time. Not that it was, good to close, but it helped. I know it helped my son get the project really going.
During the early time when we were able to come back inside the church and meet little, 6 people in a spot, the church was in the midst of construction. So we came in here and there wasn't sheetrock, there wasn't a ceiling. I mean, it was pretty rough, but I think it was the most sweet time we ever had as a church because we came here with, just with such a great spirit, and it was a really encouraging time, I think, for all of us.
It's definitely different not being in person and be able to be with each other and to fellowship and whatnot. It was not as fun of a time, where we had to stay at home and watch online and, try and keep the kids involved with kids programs online and things.
And I remember what this building looked like before. And you see the 2 pictures, you're like, what? You can't even tell they're the same building.
We were all excited to see what was going on. And when we finally got to see the final stages, we were thrilled. It was, at least I was, it was beautiful.
Pastor Stephen Becker and his wife also witnessed many great things through the ministry with the growing choir, the continued operation of the bus ministry, Christian Academy, the continued labor of Vacation Bible School, and the Best of the West tournament that now holds up to 500 people every year. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. The Lord has truly blessed Regency Baptist Church and has had his hand over it for many years. The best years are truly yet to come to Regency Baptist Church and its ministries.